Welcome, ghouls, demons, and fellow weird ones. And here we are with book 13 for my series of the tales behind the weird tales. So we have Being Brave by Sarah Odell. Hey, Being Brave, let me show you this. This is a very interesting graphic for me, especially where the challenge was with this story about being brave. So if you, I don't know if you could see, but she's a cheerleader. She's a cheerleader, which connects to a lot of my inner child. When it came to sports, I wanted to do dance and cheerleading, and that wasn't fully supported. I really wanted to do gymnastics, like stuff like that. Wasn't fully supported. It was really expensive. Like, I understand. So it was expensive, and we couldn't always afford things, and all of the above. Also, to be honest, I felt like my older brother with his soccer was a lot more important to my mother than anything that I really wanted to do. Because I was in swimming, and then I did volleyball, and I made choices. I mean, swimming was definitely a me choice. In volleyball, I made those choices to do those other sports, but in hindsight, I really wanted to do dance and cheerleading, and then for a variety of reasons, I just didn't feel like it was in my wheelhouse, in my story, in my availability for a variety of reasons and ways. This story is Sophia. So Sophia is a cheerleader, and this is another kiddo that I've worked with in my OT career, and she wanted to be a cheerleader in her story. And we were working on writing a story to help her communicate emotions, right? Another little Taurus of mine. And so but we were working on some OT lessons, right? And I'm trying to figure out how to help with this problem area that we're going through. And I asked her, what's her favorite animal? She loves seahorses. So the seahorse is the mascot on the chest and the heart chakra of the cheerleader's outfit, which I found interesting. Used her favorite colors. Interesting enough, her favorite colors are red and blue, and she surprised you a lot. Not always the colors I expected, and she's a real cool kid. I thought she was very fun and unique, and like I said, she caught you off guard with some of the things she would say, with some of her preferences. She would talk about all these other things, and so you'd be like, oh, like, you must like, I don't know, you must like pink, you must like purple, you must like this, you must like that. And she'd be like, oh no, my favorite color is red and blue. And I was like, oh, okay, that was just Sophia. And I really connected with her and her inability to communicate her desires. She was really good at seeing others and reading other people, and then she would kind of choose a more avoidant approach. She's like, well, I calculated this, and it is what it is, and I'm just going to deal with it and kind of repress the emotions. So with this story that she inspired, I wanted her to, because she helped me write this story. It was a project that we worked on together, and I didn't want to change too much of that. I wanted her to have confidence, love, value, respect. I wanted her to see herself and her words and her input and her in the story. So I didn't change too much. I worked with her on writing it, and she wrote her version of it. And then I just matured it for her age and for her skill set, like her writing style and things like that. The details, the elaboration was difficult for her, and so I wanted to help, like, elaborate detail, but I didn't want to take away from her very obviously hard, dedicated work. It was significant for her to work on this project, and it was really stressful for her to do, and she had a lot of, I would say, perfectionist, um, like, triggers that came through from it, and I wanted her to have fun, and I kept trying to remind her, "The whole point of this is to have fun and just express yourself, like, I'm not going to be disappointed in what you create." And that's why I really didn't wanna change it. I wanted to enhance it in a way that helped her see herself and honor who she wants to be. 'Cause like I said, I was surprised she wanted to be a cheerleader. And that was something that, like, she really envisioned, like, when I was like, "Okay, like, how do you want your character?" "Well, I want my character to be in high school and a cheerleader, and I want her to, say be like Miss Popular or like, Queen Bee." It wasn't so much about that, but it was just about being like a really good cheerleader, like team captain, but for the right reasons. Her reasons for wanting these things were so beyond wisdom, maturity beyond her years, and it was just really cool to witness and hear how, like, her perspective of the world and what she wanted to create and what she wanted to lead. So I wanted to make sure to preserve that. And when I wrote this story for her, I wanted her to be able to carry it with her, for every moment in her life, all the way when she does get to high school and she does join the cheerleading team, if that's something she still chooses to do. She might change her mind, and that's totally fine. We can all change our minds on these like moments, and life happens to play out differently. Like I said, I always wanted to be a cheerleader and I never was. So hopefully this is her sign to make sure to stay committed to that dream or find peace in the change of choice, something that I'm trying to work through myself. And so the story there's a little bit of bullying involved, for like the authoritative reasons why anyone, especially a child, might feel the need to suppress their voice. This is a very deep throat chakra and heart chakra related story, which is why I also find like the symbolism of like blue and red significant within like the root chakra, grounding it into your physical reality, very earth sign, very Taurus. But then like speaking your truth and being brave, and that's the story in a nutshell without ruining it too much. But yeah, that's how the story came to be. There's a few kids that just really impacted me in a lot of ways, just like my nieces did, just like Hunter did, and so I wanted to continue on creating a story for them. Not so much like, no matter what happens, I don't know where this will go with how families will feel about anything, but if anyone is ever to like, "Hey, I don't want you to promote this anymore. I don't want this associated with you anymore," or whatever, I hope that the kids get to keep the story because it wasn't about me and career, which I sometimes I feel like it comes across that way, like, "Oh, you're using these kids for," and it's like, no, I just think it's cool, and I know that if Sophia has these problems, that there's and I had these problems as a kid, Sophia's having these problems now, 3 generations later, there's gonna be more kids, and I feel like I wanted it to be accessible, and that's even my whole point of sharing, like, the case study and the story and presenting it publicly is for what it can, um, pay forward, not anything about me and my success. This is just me showcasing, I guess, like, a part of my talent and the inspiration of, because I don't think kids get enough credit for how inspiring and meaningful and impactful they are on other children and adults and just the world. Like I firmly believe in children, and I think that adults, society has done them a huge disservice, and I want to heal that for myself, for my inner child, for every wounded inner child that I've witnessed in adulthood, and for all the children that I was a part of healing and helping in my time in the medical field. So when it comes to Sophia and being brave, it's it's also me being brave for myself And when she told me how much she loved her story, she told me she reads it like every night. She sleeps with it under her pillow, and it makes her cry every time it gets to like the pivotal moment at the end where about being brave. She goes, "It makes me cry," and I know it's a deep nervous system, inner soul healing. That is everything I could have asked for. I want her to carry that with her as she continues to grow up and develop and age and come into herself as an individual and as a woman and as a person. And I think she's going to do some really really cool things in her life, as long as she remembers to stay brave. And that's all I could ever want for her. And I guess in a way, it's also kind of like I'm like a fairy godmother, and these kids, like I'm at their birthday party and I'm giving them a little gift of magic. I think of Sleeping Beauty, and like even Maleficent gave a gift, that ultimately, despite the evil gift that it was, led to something beautiful in itself. You will believe, depending on how you want to interpret the tale, but the blue, the pink, and the green fairy, they gifted beauty and love and this and that and all those things. Those are gifts that I'm hoping my stories give, not just a book, not just a main character's situation, but a deep emotional, spiritual soul present that adds to their essence, to their aura, so there's a lot of love, a lot of magic within these stories that I wrote for everyone that I've written a story for and will continue to write a story for, but especially for these kids who I really hope don't forget me and these lessons as life potentially wears them down. Because I know I've been there for myself. So, Being Brave by Sarah O'Dowell. Let's read the dedication. I would like to dedicate this tale to Sophia, a wonderful young lady I have been privileged to meet and know. May you always follow your heart and stubbornly pursue your dreams. May you always shine bright and remain beautifully brave. You were born to lead. Never lose faith in yourself. Love, Miss Sarah. And that is all I could, I mean, that's all I could ever ask for of any child out there, but very specifically, every dedication is a true love letter. That no matter how far I travel, I hope that they always keep with them. So that is what I have to say about Sophia and being brave. I can't really think of any more details that I can share about it. Definitely Taurus theme, but there's still some like water symbolism, some obvious throat chakra, and I don't know off the top of my head. I remember looking it up, but I can't recall the symbolism of the seahorse, but mainly because she chose it. But I would love to recall. And for anyone who's watching, I would encourage you to look up the symbolism of the seahorse in correlation to the story, especially if you're going to choose to read it and initiate into it. And for those who want to initiate into it, self promo, all of my books, all of my stories are available through subscription on my blog. There's monthly, yearly, and lifetime options as well. You can buy the individual digital copy in the store. And if you absolutely want a physical copy, I can print one for you through Canva. It's my pricier option right now as I am problem solving and figuring out how to have physical books more accessible. So just let me know. And I hope everyone enjoys. So thank you for listening to, was this book 13? Yeah, book 13 or 12. Okay, whatever. Thank you for listening to the tale behind the weird tale. And always remember to be brave.